head on over to fanduel.com/SEC Mike for a 20% deposit bonus up to $500. And the reason why that's so perfect is we got to start with some week one lines here in the SEC. Ooh, it feels like football. Just did a radio show out there in Mississippi. Jake Wimberly, friend of the show, was just on his program. But we were talking about opening weekend of the college football season. And I know technically it's this week with week 0, whatever they want to call it. But it really starts in a little over a week when the SEC hits the field. So, of course, that's all we're going to talk about here. We got some week 1 lines and a couple of these I like. A lot of them, truth be told, are stayaways from me. I tend to stay away from the higher point spreads. So let's take a look at some of these spreads here. Bowling Green at Tennessee, of course, the SEC opener. And Tennessee favored by 34 points. That's a lot of points for an opener. A lot of points for them Vols, given the offense we've seen in recent seasons. But, of course, this ain't Jeremy Pruitt's Vols. This is Josh Heupel's Tennessee program. So 34, still a lot of points there, but I would lean towards Tennessee on that one. Then we get into Saturday's action. ULM at Kentucky, minus 29 in favor of the Wildcats. That's a huge line. Again, I tend to stay away from these higher lines, but I probably lean towards Kentucky at this moment. Now, here's one I do like. Rice at Arkansas. Arkansas favored by 18.5. The Owls coming into town. You know they're going to get smoked by 20 or more points. Now, here's one I really love. Alabama, minus 19.5 against Miami. And, of course, this game is in Atlanta. But just seems like the Crimson Tide always smoke people out right out the gate. Miami's quarterback King still limping into this one. They say he's going to be good to go, but that remains to be seen. So I would favor Alabama heavily. You got to think they're going to win by more than 20 points. Now here's the head scratcher. Again, this is a stay away. I know this is a smaller line here, but Central Michigan at Missouri. This thing debuted at like 11. It's up to 13.5 in favor of the Missouri Tigers. We know Missouri's going to win, but this tells me the odds makers know something that we don't. So I don't know. If you're a diehard Missouri fan, definitely bet that up. Wouldn't blame you at all, because you got to feel like Missouri's a hell of a lot better program than old Jim McElwain's CMU. But something's off with that line. That's a stay away. Louisiana Tech at Mississippi State, minus 23.5. That's probably a stay away for me too. It's not that I don't think Mississippi State's going to win that game. We know they will, but that's a lot of points. And the offense was so inconsistent. Got to see it there for Mississippi State before I'm giving them that many points. Akron at Auburn, minus 35. Again, I know Akron's probably garbage, but that's a stay away. Too many points there. FAU at Florida, minus 24.5. Tend to like the Gators there. We're going to talk some Florida Gators football here in just a second. Georgia, Clemson. Now, this is probably my favorite bet. All these guys out for Georgia, so everybody's back on the Clemson bandwagon. Get the hell out of here. Georgia, you're going to give me points. This is probably the only time this season Georgia's going to be getting points. So it may only be 3, but I'd take those 3 in a heartbeat with that game in Charlotte. Kent State at Texas A&M, minus 29. Again, probably too many points here, because we know the Aggies are going to smoke Kent State, but how soon do we pull these starters? You know what I mean? So I could certainly see Kent State maybe getting a late touchdown or 2 once A&M's on their 3rd string. So 29, that's a stay away for me. Ole Miss versus Louisville. Got to favor the Rebels there, minus 8 with Matt Corral and company. We know how bad Louisville's been in recent seasons. Just some lines to consider here as we eagerly await the start of the SEC season. So head on over to fanduel.com/SEC Mike for a 20% bonus on your first deposit with FanDuel. But that's enough about me spieling about these sponsors. Let's kick it around the league.